Hey everybody, so this month we're doing The Fall by Albert Camus, and it's a French novelist who won the Nobel Prize. And I read The Stranger by him, but this one actually is a little different. That was more of a normal story with the plot. Mm-hmm. The Fall is about a lawyer who finds himself as a regular of this bar in Amsterdam called the New Mexico, and he talks to patrons about his life and kind of sucks them in and gives them his spiel. And he sees Amsterdam as hell due to its geographical layout. And like he's stuck at the center, which is like in Dante's Inferno, the deepest level of hell. That's this bar that's in that area called the New Mexico. And he basically just goes up to new patrons and strikes up conversations with them. Mm-hmm. And through that, he gets very philosophical and talks about his life as a lawyer and his rise and fall, basically, from being this pure soul who helps people to be a narcissist, an extreme narcissist that begins to hate the people that he's supposed to defend. And yeah, so what were your thoughts?
I mean, for me, it's a very different type of book. It kind of reminded me of books that I had to read in college. This book, as Mike said, is kind of basically, it's one side. It's like a long monologue. There's not really chapters. It's like the author's commentary of ego, how people initially have these like grand thoughts of like, they talk about slavery and how yes it's bad, and like having these philosophical conversations with peers of lawyers and having these deep thoughts and deep debates, but for Clamence, the one issue that kind of like knocked him or caused him to fall off his pedestal of having this high self of morality is when he was in Paris and he saw a woman kind of on a bridge. And she's like leaning over. And at first he didn't think nothing of it. It was raining. He just wanted to get home. And come to find out when he was like maybe a little bit down the Seine, he heard a big splash and a woman screaming. And he didn't turn around to help her. And all he heard was her screams as he got back to his apartment. We as humans always judge. But like this one moment caused him to like judge harder. So he reflects on his own actions, but then he's now becoming the judge penitent and telling you these stories to be like, well, are you morally correct? Are you going to do the right thing when it's confronted with you? Because I regret that every time I think of that woman screaming, like I at any point could have stopped this woman from jumping off this bridge, but I chose to ignore her and go past her. And for me, that moment of story kind of like flips it where he's like, at one point, I thought I had the moral high ground, but I didn't. I chose to ignore a person in need. To step in and be like, not the hero, but to help. And are you willing to help if you're confronted with something? Do you ignore it like I did, or will you actually step in and help?
And that's essentially the moment where he starts to fall. Like that's the fall to the depths of hell for him. Yeah. Because in the beginning, he saw himself essentially as Jesus. He would give the shirt off his back. He could see the good in everybody. And yeah, I mean, you really hit the nail on the head.
Well, but it's also too, like, it was also the commentary. So it's like, and I guess it's more so now, like you do things to feel good, right? So he was a lawyer because he was playing the good guy forward facing, right? And I guess that can be a social commentary now when people do social justice or social comedy on like Instagram where it seems fake. Like, it never moves off the platform. So kind of like, I mean, obviously, this book was way before social media came into be. But basically, a lot of people do things superficially. Like, and that was the author's comment. Like, he did a lot of things superficially before. And now he was like, we do things to look good in society, but are you able to do it when people are not around? And stuff like that. It was like interesting concept. It's a very short read. You can probably finish it in a couple of hours, depending on how long you want to sit with it. But it's not the typical book that I would read. Because again, it reminds me of the college when we had to read Plato and that long monologue. Like maybe it's my short attention span from all the TikToks that I watch. Like I kind of like drift. Like I understand the concept, but like I never really fully enjoyed these philosophical thought pieces. It's never something that I ever actually gravitated to.
Well, in his other story, in The Stranger, a man, the main character kills somebody and is given the death sentence. Mm-hmm. And there's more of a plot, but it's just as short. of a novel. So, I mean, this is very different in that respect. But I really liked it. I thought it was pretty interesting. A very complex character with a lot of deep thoughts on a lot of different topics that all comes together to form a story
Yeah, I never knew
of
that
a fall from grace.
I never knew it started off in Holland. For some reason, I thought it started off in Paris, and I got very confused because at some point we were on a boat and then we were in Holland. So,
So
I was confused. Don't get me wrong, I got the general concept of the book, but at one point I was like, wait, when did we get on this boat? And when did we end up in Holland? Because
Well,
I thought we were in Paris in the first half of the book, and then in Holland in the second half.
Well, so he, I think what happens is at first he's talking to a guy, a man, and the man is kind of like, I gotta go at the end. And then another day or later that day, he starts to talk to a woman, and the woman is the one who's like, he says, let's hang out together. And she goes, okay, because then she's intrigued and they want to continue the story. And that's when they go on a boat and hang out more, and he's able to continue that conversation. That's what I thought was happening. And when he talks about, he's never in Paris. Paris is where he practiced law.
Yeah, that's probably where.
And in Holland, in this bar, he's still keeping up his profession,
his persona,
his persona and his profession by providing legal advice and therapy to the people that go into this bar in Amsterdam. And I mean, I really liked it. Because those kind of stories are unique, and it's hard to captivate people in that way for that long. And I do like philosophical stories like Ishmael or like Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. But this character was a very fast talker. Someone who starts talking to you and then won't shut up, and it's just bam, 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 bam. And you're overwhelmed. The intellect is there. The arrogance is there. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, no, the whole point I think was also to make, because he becomes, as we mentioned before, he becomes the judge penitent. So it feels like he has to, not only is he judging himself, but he's also judging you. Like, you as the reader are being judged for the actions that you may or may not take. So he's it's a thought piece, as I said before, morality, judgment, we all judge, but to what degree? And also guilt. Would you be able to live with yourself knowing that the actions that you take? So it's it's a thought piece of I guess you can say ego, judgment, morality. It's some things that were relevant, because I believe this was before or after World War II.
I think it was after.
So it's just it's a thought piece of what will you do in certain scenarios? Will you actually step in, or will you actually ignore? I mean, it was interesting, don't get me wrong, but it's not a typical thing that I would go towards as far as reading. But I appreciate you picking it out.
Thanks. Well, do you agree with them, the character?
I mean, I agree with the concepts that the author put forward. Once his world was flipped upside down, I personally believe the character is unable to decipher between what is good or bad. In every conversation, he sucks you into a story to make you feel guilty. So I feel like he too is still struggling. I don't know, maybe it's the difference between not everyone is good, everyone's kind of bad. I don't know. How about you?
No, I'm pretty much in agreement. I think you killed it, this video.
I put my brain to use.
So how many Kisas do you give it?
So, controversy. So I didn't give it a rating, not because the book was bad, but I felt since it's not the typical book that I would read, I gave it no Kisas, only because I didn't quite enjoy it, because it reminded me too much of school. I don't want that to be reflected of a person who's clearly an amazing writer. So I currently do not give it a reading, but I am appreciative that I read it, and I was able to eventually, once I was able to understand the concept of the book and sit with it, I feel like it's, how should I say? No, I don't have to. You can't force me. For now, I say, if people like this type of genre, read it. I don't know if I would be able to recommend, because again, not my cup of tea, I probably won't remember this book in years to come. Unlike you. But like, I don't want to give it a rating and then have people come and hate me. Like, how can you give it the blah, blah, blah star when this guy is so big and he'd be crap? It's probably true. However, I feel like that was the just thing to do.
Okay. I mean, I give it.
Don't be a judge, Penitent.
I give it a 4. The character is interesting. I think he's developed pretty well. The plot, like, it's all very impressive with how it's just one character rambling and talking to other people that he doesn't even know. And it was very impressive to me. I think that if you're interested in how people process morals and the religious aspect of it, because he doesn't talk so much about religion, but he clearly believes in the concept of hell, just maybe not the biblical version, because he believes that he's in hell on earth. And I actually, thinking about it, I don't remember if the character actually believes it or if the author is essentially saying symbolically this character is in hell and the character isn't aware. But I
mean, if he's Parisian, there is like Catholic, he probably grew up Catholic to some degree. But also, like, another, towards the end of the book, they mention an artist's work, the Van Dyck, a triptych and one of the pieces of the triptych of that painting was like stolen, and he has one of the stolen triptychs in his house, allegedly, and it's called Judgment, and he looks at it.
Okay.
But so I think there's some influence there through art and religion and stuff like that.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I personally think that everyone that likes reading should read one of his novels at some point. They're short, they're fantastic, they're really interesting. And yeah, I mean, do you have any other thoughts?
No thoughts. I say give it a go. A lot of people, when I read the comments online, for some people did recommend maybe as a first read to start off with The Stranger. A lot of people recommended that first before reading this if you're not used to his writing. Would you say that's, or you don't care?
No, I think they're both just as interesting and accessible. Neither of them are that challenging in the vocabulary aspect in these translations. So if you want something that'll make you think and that is unique and impressive in how much is going on in such a small amount of pages, then this is great. If you watched our review of Small Things Like These and you decided you wanted to give it a shot, then I think that you would enjoy this too. There's so much to think about. There's so much negative space that's filled, that gives information. And I guess in that sense, The Stranger is more typical, but I still think you should give this a shot. If you like the religious symbolism, the heavy moral implications and discussion, then I think you'd really like this. Yeah, I think for all ages.
Interesting. So Mike approved, his stamp of approval.
Yeah, I think it was written in the 60s or the 50s. Let's see. Oh, 57. So the 50s, yeah. And the Stranger was his first, and that was 1946. So yeah, we have some fun stuff coming up. Second half of the year.
Ooh.
So keep tuned. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Comment if you have any thoughts on this. We love to hear them. And yeah, take care. Have a good rest of the month.
Bye.
Bye-bye.